Hello and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is Patrick Knisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a very special guest this evening. Ryan Robinson has joined the podcast once again. How you doing, Ryan?
Hey guys, doing good and glad to be back.
Of course, yeah, it's great to see you. Great to have you on.
Thanks
Ryan,
for having me.
Yeah, Ryan, we have you here to talk about Mario Golf Super Rush, the new Mario Golf game that just came out for the Switch. And we're also going to talk about lots of interesting and some sad news and rumors and that kind of stuff, including the Pokemon Sword and Shield lawsuit settling, the Sakurai Presents, the next character for Smash presentation, some Sonic stuff, some weird Sonic stuff, and more. But before we get into that, is everybody doing all right? I know, Ryan, you just said you're doing all right. I know you had a bit of a rough week though.
Yeah, doing good now. Last week had some problems where my AC was out most of the week and I was kind of couch hopping day to day, but got it back on Friday and smooth sailing now.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah, before we were talking about this beforehand, my AC's been out in my car as well, so I definitely feel you in this hot, cataclysmic summer that we seem to be in. Yeah, it's definitely rough out there this week.
The beginning of the end.
I'm doing okay. Kind of finalizing this move process. I'm getting everything out. But when this episode comes out, I will be moved out of my place. So I'm like, you may see some of my beautiful background is now barren and dark.
Dave is pointing to his blank walls. There are nothing on the walls.
Matt's always looking out for the audio listeners. But yeah, it's it's been a bit stressful, but it'll be good to finally have that done for sure.
David, you and I had first improv show post pandemic.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Holy shit, was it nuts?
Yeah. People keep being like, how'd it go? And I was like, dude, it was batshit crazy. And they're like, so is that good or I don't know? And I'm like, I don't know, really. I think
Sort of both.
I had so much fun. It was just funny. I forget that sometimes in improv you can just make a choice and say it loudly and people laugh, and that's really surprising to me.
Yeah, that's where I'm falling on it. Is like, was it technically good improv? That's debatable. Did the audience laugh like from start to finish? Yes. And I think ultimately that's all that really
People
matters.
People are back and ready to laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As long as they're on board.
Well, we had a really fun episode last week about Metroid and the lore and the history of the series with our friend Jordan or Board-Dan. And we got some really great feedback on that. Actually, I'm going to try to breeze through this. Lots of shout outs on the Discord. We had a great convo about Metroid. Cena, Eelvac, Steve Irwin, A Musel 2, Adam McDorman, who said they never finished Fusion, which is a bit of a through line here. Because Donnie Meyer on Twitter also said they love the Metroid lore, but Fusion is the only one they haven't played. On Facebook and elsewhere, actually, Karuseta, our friend, shared a nice meme they made for us based on the Empire Records meme. It's Switch Headz Day. And on Instagram,
very nice.
Alexo64 just said, fuck yes. So fuck yes, Alexo64.
Thank you.
Also, because I hope y'all don't mind, I'm going to do this because we're recording these Playing It Wrong episodes, not in real time. We got a bunch of feedback, a lot of the same people here, and so they'll probably hear this on here. Donnie Meyer mentioned that the Playing It Wrong episodes are good for his drive to work. Other Dylan on YouTube on the last Playing It Wrong episode had a really great breakdown about NES games and the arcade legacy and that kind of stuff, worth reading through.
Nice.
B. Campbell mentioned that we're about to play Star Tropics. About to play. I'm doing air quotes because I've already done it. That the manual had like a piece of paper where you had to get it wet to get like a code.
Yeah,
and
I've heard about that.
On the recent games we've been playing, Carrie Kiroseta also said we're not supposed to play good games because we've actually had a run of decent games.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to the episode coming out this weekend, man. Star Tropics is one of my Star Tropics is like top 3 NES games for sure. And then, obviously I think Donkey Kong Country 2 is like maybe the best Super Nintendo game ever made. So
that's true. That's the star of the show there.
Yeah.
So we love to hear from you listeners or viewers. And we love it if you share our podcast, subscribe on YouTube, review us on Apple Podcasts, what have you. We appreciate it. And send us listener questions.
Also, in the effort of being transparent, I do want to say that since we recorded last week's episode, I did discover that Castlevania Rondo of Blood is not a Metroidvania, and so I just want to apologize here for anybody who might not have been perusing the YouTube comments, where I also corrected myself. But as somebody who worked on the Castlevania show, I was intensely mortified and embarrassed by that misinformation.
That's true. It is not a Metroidvania.
Yeah. Did people tweet at you like, you fucking idiot? How dare you?
The people in my head were tweeting at me constantly, and I had to shut them up.
You're no longer the creator.
The straw men in my head. Yeah.
That's fair. I want to say something about what we're doing for the podcast is we're doing more video stuff. So if you're listening to the audio version, come check out the YouTube version where I'm doing a lot of some production stuff, playing some videos when we talk about a specific game. So for this Mario Golf episode, you'll hear and see some special things.
Yeah. I'm really digging that. Also, Matt, you're doing a great job.
We're a news podcast now. Breaking
news.
We're
goddamn news. Yo, we are yellow journalists.
What's that term mean?
It's an old school expression. It's not old school though, in that it's fine. It's a good
like William Randolph Hearst, right?
Or exactly.
Like those kind of people.
Or the guy who wrote the guy who wrote Oil and The Jungle.
Yeah, Upton Sinclair.
Sinclair.
That guy.
Yeah,
There Will Be Blood.
Well, I've never felt more like a country bumpkin in my fucking life.
All right, so for this week's news and rumors, then we talked about Metroid last week, and the Metroid Dread hype that's happening right now. Unsurprisingly, if you hear all of us talking about how we're replaying Metroid games, has led to older Metroid games being top sellers on the systems where you can still buy them, like Wii U and 3DS, which just goes to show that Nintendo could make money off of these games if they gave us ways to play them in a timely fashion when they make these announcements and things. But a lot of people are forced to emulate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is definitely would have been a prime time for no pun intended there with prime, but prime time for the Metroid or Game Boy Advance games to be added to NSO, right?
Because that would be so good, dude.
Yeah.
Me and David, we were just talking on Twitter about how I literally just bought like the handheld emulation device, like solely to play the Metroid. Well, not solely, but that was like the first thing I want to do is play the Metroid games on them. And I definitely would have just picked them up on the Switch if I could have.
Yeah. We just had the Sakurai Presents a video for Kazuya, who's from Tekken, who's joining Smash Ultimate. And actually should be out by the time this podcast comes out. So you probably, if you're into it, you've had a chance to check it out. We haven't yet. So we're going to talk about what we think without having played Kazuya yet. I guess we'll just talk about the presentation. What did y'all think? Kind of went over Tekken, went over all the moves as always.
He looks crazy.
Yes. Yeah. This is probably the craziest character they've done yet, and they've done some crazy characters in the DLC. Like just the sheer amount of moves that he has is like 3 to 4 times what every other character in the game has. Like all the little tiny inputs. I just feel like they pretty much moved his entire moveset from Tekken over, which no one ever really thought was even possible. I can't wait to play him. I think he looks like so much fun.
And he explained the devil gene and how that is a lot of the B moves are related to that. So
yeah, and also he also gave a pretty good explanation why they didn't pick Heihachi.
Yeah,
is that like because I always thought it would be either Heihachi or Jin, which are the two other sides of the lineage around Kazuya, and so it's like So it just made sense that they wanted to get one who could turn into a devil and have some of those projectiles, right? And have that kind of like style to it. So it was and it's always nice to have more villains in the game as well, I think.
Yeah. And anything else on the character before we move on to stage or music or anything like that? I mean, crazy amount of inputs, lots of different moves. That's
I'll just say, like, it's not even just like the amount of moves that he has. It's like all the different mechanics too. Like he has the thing that Bowser has where like he doesn't flinch from lighter attacks. He has a bunch of attacks with invincibility on them.
Mhm.
He just has like, special inputs and just normal moves. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a presentation and they've just like thrown so much at me that like I can't even begin to even remember it all just off.
It was a bit overwhelming, wasn't it? It's like,
these usually are, but then you add on all the extra moves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like
that was insane.
Hero had a bunch of moves, but like they were all just from down B. So you just kind of had to remember like what they do, not like how to do them,
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, even in the thing, Sakurai was like, this might be too much for you. So just do a couple of them if you don't want to.
Start small.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is also the first one where he did his like test playthrough that he actually like failed. Like he's seen. Like, yeah, that's true. That's true. But he kept the take in where he failed anyway on this one, and then said that he moved the computer players down to 7 instead of 9.
I'm just so surprised. Like Sakurai doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
You don't have to take a character from a completely different game, take the mechanics from that game and the character and implement them into your fighting game. Like this, no other developer kind of has this no half measures mentality. I can't think of like Mortal Kombat when they had, like a Terminator. It's the same base kind of movement and character flow and same control scheme. Same thing with other fighting games. They have all these special characters in their game, but Smash is the only game that takes the mechanics and the character and puts them into its own game. It just blows my mind every time.
Yeah, it's another level.
Well, the stage is called Mishima Dojo, which has sort of breakable surroundings, walls, ceilings, etc. And you can see Heihachi in the background, I think, right?
There he is.
At least sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, the stage looks awesome. I can't wait. I love that it's all beautiful. Destructible. Yeah.
And they got 39 songs from the Tekken series, which is great.
Yeah, with like 9 new arrangements or something like that too. Like they went all out, man.
Yeah, it's like that's what happens when because Bandai develops Smash and Tekken. So.
Exactly. Yeah. They've been holding this one in for a long time.
And then unless there's anything else specific to the new fighter, the Mii's is kind of a big part of this one. It's a big part of all of these, but this one in particular seemed like all of the Mii's were significant. Shantae, sort of the glowed up Mii, right? That one looked less like a. What do you think it's sort of in between?
And it comes with a music track.
I don't know that it's a deluxe Mii though, right? It still uses like a Mii face, but it does come with a music track. This one, it's like somewhere in between. Yeah.
I kind of feel like all these were kind of in between. They looked a little bit nicer than a regular Mii, but not, a little. Yeah.
I wish they all came with a music track, like having like a DMC track and a.
Yeah.
I'd probably buy every Mii if that were the case.
Same.
Yeah.
So to round out the 4 Mii's they showed off was Dante from Devil May Cry, the Dragonborn from Skyrim, and Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia, which I think is a returning Mii that is one of maybe the last one that we're still waiting on. Or is there one more? I can't remember.
I think that is the last one.
I think it might be the last. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was like him and Gino.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And it's interesting to see all those companies, right?
I was interested in when they introduced Dante and Dragonborn, like they do the Smash Bros. Cross and then usually the title of the game they're from. But for Dante, they just said Smash Cross Dante, and Dragonborn was Smash Cross Dragonborn.
That's a ESRB thing. M-rated games, you can't, at the beginning, if you have the title of an M-rated game in the presentation, it would have to put E through M or whatever at the beginning
I
of the
see.
presentation. So in order, they do the same thing in Europe as well. In Japan, they don't have that problem. But that's something that Papagenos has actually gone into quite a bit. So there were like theories about that. But yeah, so anytime there's an M-rated game, it'll just show the title. Like they did the same thing where it was like Vault Boy. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
and the Assassin's
loophole.
Creed, it was like Altair.
yeah,
It
exactly.
does read weird.
Yeah.
Because for a second you're like, wait, Dragonborn, what's that? And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait, was that canceled platinum game on Xbox? Or it's Scalebound.
And they showed off Min Min amiibo, which is cool, I guess.
I was kind of curious how that was going to work with her long arms, like just like with the packaging, and if they were going to get like droopy over time or anything.
I liked his little joke about it. He like slowly brought it. He's like, it's very fragile. Did he say that they won't be making a Kazuya amiibo, or was he just like, it'll be weird when we eventually make a Kazuya amiibo?
Yeah, I feel like that was one of those like lost in translation things.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of that one thing he said earlier about like there was a company with the character for Heaven in their name told me to put Kazuya in Smash. He's like, I wonder how they're going to translate this. I think it was probably something like that where it might have made more sense.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo means leave luck to heaven, right? Like in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's what he was talking about.
I did too.
But.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else on this character or this presentation, or do you want to talk about? There's one more character coming to Smash. We had a nice discussion on the Discord about that. Also, I'm sure we'll be playing a lot on the Discord. If you're out there listening, you want to come try out the new character and beat us up in Smash. So there's only one more left. We still don't know what it is. I'm sure we'll hear in about 3 months.
I hope it's a crazy one. I hope it's totally unexpected. Some some background character in Mario or some background Nintendo character.
Wiggler.
Yeah, fucking Wiggler.
I hope it's Dry Bones Bowser or Pink Gold Peach.
That would suck.
What if it's an ice climber's character that's similar to like the viruses.
The polar bear that wears the swimming trunks.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Right. See, that's what the stage we're at with speculating. We just want to make jokes about it. So moving on then. There's been some more Switch Pro rumors, and shout out to Shade in our Discord for sharing this one with us. There's a Twitter account called Switch Up that says, according to some peripheral manufacturing source they have in China that is allegedly reliable, according to these people who I don't know anything about, they are working on products to be adapted for the Switch Pro, and they say that they've been told there's a 2022 global market release date. So maybe this other news we had was wrong, maybe not. We'll find out eventually. If this thing is real and is coming soonish, like many of us, we just want to know.
Yeah, I honestly think all of this stuff has been true. I don't think that one negates the other. I think that this just shows that product lines are still reeling from COVID shutdowns. And then there's also a massive chip shortage going on right now. So I think that Nintendo wanted to get this thing out by holiday. Of course, they would want to get this thing out by holiday, I think. But, that just might not be realistic. And I think that maybe very much they were going to reveal it before E3. And then, they did the math and they were like, we can't do this. And so now we're maybe getting updated information. Or it could all be bullshit and we're all wasting our time. It's one of those two options.
I mean, that's a good point though, because they could have seen the backlash that Sony and Xbox have gotten from not having enough PS5s and Xbox Series X and Series S's available. Yeah. So maybe they realized they were facing a similar situation and were like, we'll just keep making more until it won't be as bad when we do release.
I don't know. Nintendo learning from their past mistakes about production manufacturing issues. That doesn't sound like Nintendo.
They're learning from others' mistakes.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
I think we had a discussion about this in the Discord too. David, you shared this. Forever Entertainment has announced that they have made an agreement with Nintendo. Do you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. So we've talked about Forever Entertainment on the show before. they basically have historically produced a lot of and distributed a lot of like kind of like the cheaper shovelware titles that you see on the Switch, the stuff that goes in like deep discount in order to like get to the top of the eShop, like Timberman Versus and all that shit. They've got a lot of games like that, but then they also did recently, they've got, in addition to being a publishing house, they also have a development studio as well. So their development team handled Panzer Dragoon remake, which came out on the Switch, which some people liked and some people thought was pretty trashy. It kind of came out and needed a lot of work. I think after a bunch of patches and after a sale, it felt like a no-brainer pickup to me. I quite enjoyed that remake quite a bit. But that hasn't stopped other companies from jumping in. Square Enix has reached out to have Forever Entertainment work on ports for them. And then Nintendo has also added a bunch to Forever Entertainment's finances in order to get... We don't know. We don't know exactly what. We just know that they're bankrolling them right now. And we can only really assume that that means, maybe more ports or, older games being brought into the higher resolution and put out on the Switch. It's just odd, like going to their website and like looking at kind of a lot of the schlock that they've, and schlock might be a little heavy-handed of a term, but it's, they themselves don't value these games because they put them up for like 50 cents constantly, on the eShop. So like, it's just, you have to wonder like what, now Sega, Squaresoft, and it's not Square Enix and Nintendo see in them, what do you guys think they have something going on behind the scenes? Like, that's making these three companies interested in working with them so much?
It's got to be cheap.
You think so?
I think
cheap port jobs.
Yeah, cheap port, and maybe it's good enough quality. If it's Panzer Dragoon, that's what it seems like to me. At least they don't have like these big releases. They have a lot of releases and a lot of small mobile game releases quickly. So maybe they can just like, they have a big staff or a lot of contractors. They could just churn out remakes or, reboots just over and over and over and over again.
Do you think they have some like kind of back end, like tech or code that's making it easy to get Switch ports out? Maybe like
it feels like they might, or why are they getting all these deals? Yeah.
Right. Cause I think that, Square even has like a whole section of their company built around, porting to Nintendo, to the Switch. So it's like, maybe they saw that and wanted to like, be like, hey, straight up, can we utilize this code or whatever, give you guys some money in order to get these ports out quicker? That could maybe be some of it as well.
That's a good idea. Good point.
Hey, Square's interested. Nintendo's giving them money. Maybe they're making Super Mario RPG.
That's what everybody says, but no.
Yeah, I definitely don't think so.
I think we'll be seeing more Saturn era remakes, like early PS1, maybe N64. Yeah, stuff like that.
The Pokemon Company settled a lawsuit that we've talked about in the past. This is related to the leaks that happened around the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield games of the strategy guide, I believe it was, a couple years ago. I guess these defendants that settled in this lawsuit must have been either Pokemon Company employees or contractors or worked on the guide, because they obviously were tied to something that made them able to get sued, and then willing to settle for a not insignificant amount of money, which also isn't confidential apparently. So a lot of times settlements are made confidential, but not this one. It was $150,000 each, that plus attorney's fees that they will have to pay, which I'm sure is not insignificant too. So this is why people don't want to leak things. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody got any thoughts on that, or are we moving on?
Don't fuck with the Nintendo ninjas, man. They'll come for you. Yeah,
they will come for you. If you're a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, we've gotten a few of these games in the past, but where they have a week-long sort of free trial, they're doing that again for Fuser. Should be happening by the time this podcast come out, going through July 5th. If that game has piqued your interest, but not enough to purchase it, great time to try it out.
Fuser is awesome, by the way. Very unique, original game, worth trying out.
It's a harmonics rhythm game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Harmonix, the original creators of Guitar Hero, and then Rock Band, and Frequency and Amplitude and all that. I'll play pretty much anything they make. They're a bunch of really creative people.
So that's cool. It's good to see also just that happening more. And then the game's on sale if you do want to buy it as well. And then this is where we have a bit of a sad news and a little bit of a suicide warning, or a lot of a suicide warning here for y'all. It was a member of the emulation community who goes by the name Near Online, who was particularly involved in the Super Nintendo emulation and made a lot of progress on that, it seems like. I don't think any of us here on the show today are super familiar with this, but it seemed to be a very affecting thing for a lot of people in the Discord that follow emulation. Apparently they took their own life due to cyberbullying that they were experiencing, which is it's tragic for any reason, but especially when you hear something like that, just terrible news.
I mean, just a little reminder, because we talk about this a lot on the show of just like how toxic Twitter comments can be. Every time Nintendo posts anything, it's like the worst of the worst comes out of the internet bottom feeders to just like drag Nintendo for whatever. And that doesn't just happen with the big companies. That happens with lots of people. And I think it's like just an important reminder of just, you never know how your words are going to affect somebody else. And you can't just, it's so easy when you're kind of behind a little blah, 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 to just kind of, think that your words don't have any meaning to them, but they can be massively meaningful to people a lot of the time. And something that might be an offhand comment to you might stick with somebody for a really long time. So let's just be better to people, right? Especially people that are like intensely talented and artists, as I believe people who create emulators often are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Let's be better.
Yeah. Part of it too is that when people do treat you like shit, like reach out to someone who cares about you and talk to someone and ask for help, whatever that looks like. That's just staying at their house, a phone call or text or a meme, whatever it might be, whatever that help looks like for you. Don't forget to reach out if you're getting bullied.
All right. Tough to move into the next news segment, but we will do so with some Sega Sonic news. Some really weird stuff here, and that apparently they are planning to turn Sega is planning to turn Sonic into a VTuber, like a virtual online streamer personality.
100% here for this.
You are?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't give it. I want Sonic. I want any form of Sonic sent to me, especially if it's in the most bizarre, technologically experimental ways.
Sonic playing Sonic.
Yeah, exactly.
What
is what we're going to get.
Do Sonic fans, do they have a title? Like, do you go by like Sonic Stans? Or like
Stanix.
Sonic Heads? Stanix.
I think maybe Hedge Heads.
Hedge Heads. Sega put out like a 10-second clip of Sonic being the first doing his VTuber stuff. It's very funny. He talks out of the side of his mouth.
Yeah. Now, Sonic fans are like some of the wildest fucking fans ever in the world for so many different reasons. But like, you'd be hard pressed to find a more hardcore fan base of anything than for Sonic the Hedgehog. And so I think this is right up their alley. I think they're all going to eat this up. I'm eating this. I'm like a fair weather Sonic fan. I'm not even like the biggest Sonic fan, but I'm
a hedgehead.
This idea. Yeah, excuse me, hedgehead. Yeah.
Lead us into this. It's the 30th anniversary of Sonic. That's probably why they're doing this weird shit, but they also did a symphony, right? Or an orchestra performance
Yeah, that was so fucking lit. That was such a good time. I know Matt, you and I, and I think Jay as well.
Yeah, there
all
were
like,
3 of us that were blown up the general Discord chat talking about the Sonic Symphony.
Yeah, we probably could have made a DM for that, but it was but no, whenever that was going on, it was incredible. Yeah, it was it had been teased. I think it was technically part of Summer Game Fest, just like everything is that happens between the months of June and October. But yeah, it was great. It started with like a orchestra, like a full like symphonic thing for the first half, and then there was this like beautiful like intermission with like a orchestrated version of the Chow Garden music, which was just gorgeous. And then they went into Crave 40, is that what they're called?
Crush 40.
Yeah, Crush 40, excuse me. Doing some of the like Dreamcast era and later Sonic games music. And yeah, it was a great time. I was super hyped. It really gave me a lot of energy throughout the rest of that day.
Man, I forgot how good the soundtrack is to Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So many fucking bangers. Sonic Heroes, Sonic Boom.
Sonic Heroes. That's been living in my head rent free for the past week.
Our last news item leads us into the main topic, so we'll briefly touch on this. Mario Golf Super Rush came out, got some reviews. The reviews are okay to decent, right? 7 out of 10 seems like an average from reviews. The Metacritic score shows 74. So, okay game.
It's low for a Nintendo game. Let's not beat around the bush, right? Like that's low for a Nintendo game. A 6 out of 10 for a first party Nintendo game from IGN is not something you see with every Nintendo release. Now, some of that is justified, and also the guy who reviewed it, I listened to him. He was on the NVC, Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast, the second best Nintendo podcast on the internet. Was actually there might be, I don't know, I'm not going to get into the weeds anymore. But
we'll do an episode later when we
as
rank.
long as we're the best, that's all that matters.
Super Switch Headz, #1 Nintendo podcast for Nintendo Switch fans and hedge heads.
Yeah, I agree. But he was talking about it, and he was like a massive fan of the franchise. So I think that like the reviewer for IGN was like really let down by a lot of things that he was personally expecting from the game. You know what I mean? So it's like so it's a really very much a your mileage may vary sort of game. And I think a lot of the reviews have actually kind of said that, like, you know, and some of them have been getting 8s and 9s, and some of them have been getting 5s and 6s, you know? So it's definitely a divisive game, which is interesting.
Well, I think it's a great time for us to take the break then, because when we come back, we can kind of give all of our takes and maybe get into some of that gray nitty gritty area. And then you listener or viewer can decide on your own. So this week we're talking about Mario Golf Super Rush. Just came out this past Friday. I think that was the 26th of June. I don't know what day it is. So we've all had our chance to play it. We're going to talk about it in depth, but we're also going to kind of maybe talk about the history of the series. Maybe before we get into the history and stuff, just sort of big picture Mario Golf. We all played a lot of these. We're big fans. We like the new one.
I think ultimately I'm having a really good time with the game. I think that like I get where a lot of the reviews were having issues with the game. I think ultimately, I think the game feels a little undercooked, a little half-baked, maybe. It doesn't quite feel up to par with a lot of Nintendo's like polish with a lot of the games that they put out in the first party. That having been said, though, I can't put the game down. I've been playing it a ton. I got way more invested in the adventure mode than I thought that I would. So I'm having a great time with it.
Mario Golf is kind of a new series for me. And so I kind of was going into this with a little more like arcade style expectations and less of a simulation. And what I learned is like the golf mechanics are pretty robust. Like if you want to play like a really good golf game, this is a good golf game too. Not only is it a pretty good Mario Golf game. That's what was most surprising to me, because I was wanting to have this like arcade experience, and that's what I saw in some of the trailers. Like with Super Rush, it was like very fast paced and very like push a button and something cool or action oriented happens. But it's actually a really good golf simulation.
Yeah, it's more PGA Tour than it is like Golf Story, I think.
I'm with Matthew that I don't think I've ever owned a Mario Golf game previous to this one. But I had a friend who had a golden tea cabinet at his house for a long time and got really into Golf Story. And so I've got some good golf gaming experience, and it does. I like it, and my son loves it. And so we've been having a lot of fun playing together. What about you, Ryan? Just sort of big picture, you into this? You into the series as a whole?
Yeah, I've always been into Mario sports games just in general. But the Mario Golf series, specifically Toadstool Tour, which was the GameCube one, that game has a lot of nostalgia power for me, because that was one of the games I could get my dad to play with me as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
And we played it a lot. And it was really fun. And it had a lot of content, actually. Like the completionist just did a video on it, and I was watching it and I was like, oh yeah, this game did have a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited that there's a new one out, and I like that it's bringing over some of the RPG mechanics that were usually more in the handheld ones. But yeah, I've been having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, just with golf games in general, I'm a big fan of golf games, and I like those arcadey style golf games as well. But you saying that just reminded me, like one of the games that I would play with my dad a lot was like this. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but it was a golf game for the Super Nintendo that I just played the shit out of. You know what I mean? And so it got me into this style of game at an early age.
Was it the like YLI?
Yeah. It's like set in Hawaii. Yeah. No, I love that game. And played the shit out of it. And so this is giving me kind of flashbacks of that game, to be honest, which I think is working really well for me.
Well, we'll talk about the history of the Mario Golf games then, just briefly, at least. So all of them have been developed by Camelot, except for the first one, which I'm going to guess that Camelot didn't exist back then, but I don't know for sure. But the NES game did not actually have Mario Golf in the title. It's called NES Open Tournament Golf, but it had Mario on the cover.
So it counts.
Yeah, I think it's the official first one. Came out in 1991 here in the United States. I think it came out a couple years earlier in Japan. But I have not played this one personally. Anybody have any experience with this? It's on the NSO app. It actually is. This is sort of a spoiler. It's actually my playing it wrong game this week too. Strangely, cool. Completely random. But I haven't played it yet.
Is that the golf game from the NES that in the clubhouse games, all the golf courses in that are like upgraded like models of the same courses?
Yeah, that and also Wii Golf and Wii Sports also used the same course layouts.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was Woohoo Island before Woohoo Island.
The next, unless there's anything else on that one, the next entry came out in 1999 for the N64 and Game Boy Color, just called Mario Golf. I don't think I had any experience with this one either. This is the one I thought I might have the most experience with, but I don't remember this one. Did y'all play this one on the N64?
Yeah, I never owned this game, but I did play it over at friends' houses, and I really enjoyed this. I played a lot more Mario Tennis than I played Mario Golf. I've historically been like a big tennis fan. Tennis is one of my favorite sports, and I think tennis video games are also really fun. But man, Mario Golf for the N64 was excellent. And it was like the first time that I personally played a golf game in full 3D, and then playing with Mario characters was a ton of fun. A lot of content in that game as well. Pretty robust game.
And Ryan was talking about Toadstool Tour, which is the next one that came out for the GameCube in 2003. You said there's a lot of content for that one, and you played it a lot growing up.
Yeah, I played a ton of that game growing up. I had a ton of content, unlockable characters, single player modes. It was, I think, the first like mainline or like Mario like sports or party game to have Diddy as a playable character in it. So that's pretty cool precedent they set there. And it also had Shadow Mario from Sunshine in it, and
Nice.
PD Piranha and stuff. It had a lot of cool characters and cool courses, and also like the gameplay was pretty solid. Just like I feel like the newest one kind of took a lot of what that game was doing, and it's just made it a little bit more complex. But that game was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my understanding that the Mario Golf Advance Tour, which came out a year later for the Game Boy Advance, is kind of the same game, but just sort of the handheld version. But maybe there's some, I don't know a lot about this. So if any of y'all do, then correct me. But
both Mario Tennis and Mario Golf for the Game Boy Advance were actually more similar to Mario Tennis and Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color. Those are pretty much, they were both kind of ports of each other, right? But this is where Camelot really started bringing in their RPG. Mechanics and know-how that they worked on with Golden Sun into the Mario sports franchise. And we were talking earlier about Golf Story, and Golf Story is really a spiritual successor to Mario Golf Advance Tour, I would say. Gotcha. Very similar in a way where it's like a traditional top-down RPG, but where instead of battling, you're playing golf or doing different kind of stuff like that. And that's where they get all the leveling up system from as well.
Gotcha. They were kind of linked games in the fact, though, that they had if you had the Game Boy Advance link cable to your GameCube, you could upload the RPG protagonists from
that's
Advance
cool.
Tour into Toadstool Tour. Which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And then about 10 years later, Mario Golf World Tour for the 3DS came out, and that was the last one prior to this current entry. Anybody play the 3DS one?
I missed this one. I think we all missed this one on the pod, unless Matt, you've played it, which I don't think so.
Nope, definitely not.
Yeah,
I really know nothing at all about this one, to be honest.
The one thing I really know about this game is that the reason that people hate this new one so much is because it had 16 courses or something like that. Where this new game has 6, and they're like, "Come on, man! On the 3DS, you had so much more content," which it's not a bad argument. But yeah, no. From everything I understand, this game was great. Not as in depth of a experience as the Game Boy Advance Mario Sports titles were, but definitely led us to where we're at with the current game.
Awesome. Well, then let's talk about the current game. We kind of gave big overview. Let's dig into some of the nitty gritty. There's a bunch of different modes, and I know that there may be some complaints that there aren't as many modes as there were in some of the previous games. But have y'all had a chance to check out all the modes? And do you have a favorite or even any good anecdotes about them? We've got sort of the just plain vanilla regular golf, but then they've added this speed version and the battle version and the story mode. Any favorites out of these, or anything you've found and loved?
Ryan, what's tickling your pickle with this game?
So I've mainly been grinding out the story mode so far. I did have some friends over yesterday when we played a few rounds of just normal golf, and that was pretty fun. But I've only played speed golf so far, and the story mode, I haven't played it against people yet. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's a really cool game type that they added. And there's also it's the cross country golf that they have in the story mode, where you hit off to the next hole from the end of the hole you just finished. And it was really cool. It actually, the first time I did it, I kept messing up because you actually have to kind of chart a path.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Or at least
it feels fucking hard. Yeah.
It is hard. Yeah.
With the height difference on that level.
Well, as I understand it, that's the only part of the game where that mode exists. I don't think that you can play that mode multiplayer, which is kind of a shame, because I think
I was about to bring that up.
That would be a really fun thing to play with friends, I think, especially if you're all
going to different
course,
parts.
Yeah, playing the course at your own pace. I think that would be a really interesting way to do it. So I'd love to see that added into multiplayer.
Yeah, but I hope they update it and add that.
Yeah, I think so. But it's also weird because I've been playing the story, and I just recently got the lob wedge, right? Mm-hmm. Have you guys gotten that yet?
I'm like just up to that point, but I haven't actually done it yet.
So basically, when you get the lob wedge, it basically allows you to like pop the ball super high over big cliffs, which you don't have when you really need it in the cross country mode. Like as soon as I was playing that, I was like, man, I really wish there was some way for me to pop these up. And then like 2 biomes later, they're like, hey, here's a way to do this. And so I was like, God damn it. That was so frustrating.
Weird, yeah.
I wish I'd had that early on. It felt like maybe that was meant to be earlier in the game, or maybe the cross country was supposed to be later and something got moved around in production. But that definitely seemed like an oversight to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I agree. It's a little bit of a frustrating segment, even if it is a cool idea. And at first I enjoyed it, but then when it got to the more like advanced one, I was like, I failed, and that wasn't fun.
Yeah. Failing in this game.
I had to redo it.
Failing in this game does not feel good. It feels bad now. Like I've cussed a lot playing this game by myself, and I'm like, damn, dude. Like I usually don't cuss this much while playing golf games, but it's like been very frustrating. And like, and then the worst thing too is like in the story mode, they don't like really clearly express like when it's going to be a full game versus 9 holes, or maybe they do a little bit and I just don't like go and talk to every NPC,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so that gets a little frustrating. So I'll be on like hole 17 and I'm like, oh, okay, well, clearly I'll just go back 3. And then it's like, oh, nope, starting back from hole 1 because you like didn't make this arbitrary amount of time that they set only for this particular challenge, you know? So stuff like that I find to be a little irksome and definitely more frustrating. So I wish that was like at least more clearly expressed, if not fixed outright.
Well, let's focus on the story mode for a minute then, since we're talking about that. I think, what do y'all think about the like actual story and the house and that kind of stuff too? Like, I think it's cool they gave us this story and it's fine, but it does feel like there's a lot of dialogue that's useless and not that greatly written to me. Like, I don't know if y'all agree. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not super charming either. Like, when you think about like Paper Mario or something like.
Yeah, I think when I booted up this game, I played, Golf Adventure for the first time, which didn't give me the best first impression because there was a bunch of dialogue and I talked to everyone because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And really what I wanted to do, I played this game directly after playing Tony Hawk, so my brain is charged with like just like an arcade style. I just like want to get into the action. I was kind of pissed while trying to
a slow
talk
start
to everyone.
It does. Yeah, it takes too long for you to actually golf. Like, I think if they started it like right, and then like they started you right into like playing 3 holes, and then had like that exact same cutscene, it probably would have felt better. But like,
totally.
Yeah, I remember like out loud saying like, "Can I play the game now?"
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And probably like maybe 45 minutes into it, I was like, I don't think this mode is for me.
I think the beginning is a little bit rough. Yeah. And also like when I say the house and stuff, like as a person who plays a lot of RPGs and stuff, like I want to go touch the TV and have something happen, or like have some purpose to go in all these rooms that you can go in, but there's none. And that's fine. It's better than, I guess it's nice that it's there and the art is okay, but it does feel like, man, give me a little something, like maybe I could turn on the TV and watch the intro or something, I don't know. Like,
right.
Is this kind of what you're saying, David, when you said like it feels half baked, where they have all of these worlds and mechanisms that you think should do something, but they're not there?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that like, here's how I would balance the adventure mode in this game. What I think they probably should have done. And granted, all I'm doing here is taking from what worked in the Game Boy Advance game and from Golf Story, right? Like basically they've filled the world with NPCs that all have unique dialogue at every step of the thing, which is awesome, but just none of it matters at all because like none of them give you any side quests. None of them like give you anything. They're all just like, man, it's crazy how golf is happening. And you're just like, I don't need to hear that, And it's also like, there's no Well, first of all, story wise, it'd be great if there was like a rival or something like that who was working against you. The Mario Tennis and Mario Golf Game Boy games were really good about that, like having people that you were constantly trying to like get better than, right? And then they would introduce the Mario characters, which is I feel like kind of what they're doing in this game a little bit, introducing the big hitting Mario characters
hint
later
that
on.
Mario is like a really good golfer. Yeah,
right. And the Game Boy games did that really well as well. But basically, I think that what needs to happen is I think it would have been great if they had lots of little side quests or challenges that you would get from NPCs that you could kind of like pick which ones you would want to do. And then every time you beat one of these things, you got less experience. Because right now you beat a thing and you're like, oh, I just leveled up 4 times. Like after every single challenge I've done. It's like if they spread some of that out amongst little smaller things, I think it would have made the game feel a bit more balanced and make you want to go out and talk to people in the world. Because I got to a certain point after about an hour in where I was like, I'm not going to go talk to everybody anymore because there's 0 point in doing this. I'm just going to go from main challenge to main challenge to main challenge because I was just getting bored otherwise.
Something that Golf Story does that I like too is that you can hit a golf ball anywhere. And there's part of me that wants to like practice just on my own terms and like see if I can line up a shot and hit that wall or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think if they did that, or did it through those little challenges, like every Goomba was like, hey, can you knock that pail off the fence for me or something? You know what I mean? And your goal was to hit that or whatever. Like, yeah, because sometimes I'm like, I want to get better at this game, but then I have to like do these set shots, you know what I mean? And I can't experiment in these modes because I don't want to lose, you know what I mean? Like, and have to redo it again.
At the very least, giving you the ability to run in the world where the whole main caveat of the game is that you can run on the golf course. Like it's kind of annoying that in between story beats, you can't press B to go faster. It's like, come on, man.
Well, is there anything else on the adventure mode, the story mode y'all want to talk about before we move on to some of the other modes?
I can't help the feeling that as soon as I finish the last like tutorial, it's going to end. You know, and I haven't finished the adventure mode, so it's, you know, probably would have been better for this podcast if I had, right? But it's like, that's what it feels like, is like throughout this thing, they're teaching me new things. And I think that it would have been nice if that was a bit more front loaded. And then there were different areas in which I could utilize these skills. But like we said earlier, as it stands, I've learned the ability to do things after the point when I needed them, you know? And so it's like, it just doesn't really feel like it's properly paced out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so
I'm pretty sure you're right about it that it's going to end because I know like, cause we're at like Wild Weather Woods, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's only like one other course, like 1 or 2 other courses after that. So,
right.
Like, there's obviously not like much more that could happen in the story.
Yeah. It just feels like it's teaching me skills for me to use online. But I like learned those skills by playing online. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I like already played with friends and I like learned all these skills and then it's like reteaching me them out now that I'm playing it in the single player.
Toad is always like, hey, do you want me to teach you how to curve shots? You're like, no, I did that because I felt like I needed to. You know what I mean? That's why I don't need you to teach me that because I taught myself that because this isn't paced right. Totally.
I will say though, like I'm actually getting a lot out of those Toad lessons, to be honest. Yeah. Because like there are little things, like I said, I did learn this stuff like by playing online, but then there was also like some stuff I just wasn't clear on, you know, like Mario Tennis Aces had this problem as well, where it kind of assumed that you knew that you'd played some of the previous games and like knew that X did lob shot or that Y did a slice or whatever. Right. And so, and I feel like this game kind of has that too. It has stuff weirdly buried behind the story missions. And I just wish that there was a way to easily just access that stuff early on without having to play through like 6 hours of story. Right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about how we're talking about side quests and just other challenges, you know, there are little they're not even side things, so you have to do them, but where like the Hammer Bro will be like, hit a ball with backspin and land it in this area that's 3 concentric circles, you know? I just think it would have been so much cooler and felt so much more Mario if there was like a warp pipe there that you want to hit it into and then it comes out on the other side, or like in the desert area, they're like, hey, there's these 3 pokies. Why don't you hit them with a golf ball and blow them up or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of just, oh, here's a target with 3 concentric circles.
Dude.
Like over and over.
Dude, everyone's favorite character from Super Mario Brothers is the 3 concentric circles. Okay, it's such an iconic Mario Nintendo character.
Yeah.
Well, I think regular golf is kind of self-explanatory. The sort of slower paced, take turns, play through, and it's pretty good. And I think where the game actually maybe even is best, but y'all might disagree. But we're talking about maybe speed golf and battle golf, because those modes are sort of where the game seems to emphasize, in the title, Super Rush and that kind of thing.
Right.
And are sort of new modes, as I understand it, unique to this game. How do y'all feel about them? I'm iffy. I kind of like them, but I also have some things I would change. There's real briefly, like there's some elements of battle golf that I think should be in speed golf. Like I find it a little bit, I feel like speed golf implies to me that the whole point is to get the ball in the hole first. And it sort of has this weird calculation between your actual score and how fast you do it, where, if I do it super fast, but I get a double bogey, and you do it a little bit slower, but you get under par, then you're going to get the point. And so it's interesting, but I wish there was the option maybe to just play for speed by itself.
Well, and that's where the cross country would come into it, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because right now it's segmented into rounds still, which I think belies the purpose of speed golf. I think it felt like they didn't get the mode, that's what I actually assumed speed golf was going to be before I got this game.
Right.
Was like just play, because all the courses are completely interconnected. It's like one big area. So there's no reason why that shouldn't work,
Yeah. It is weird. It's weird to me. And it's its own beast. Then it's not quite what I would think of when you say the word speed golf. It's, there you get bonus for going faster, but it's not, it's broken up, like you said. So it's all right. I like it. And it's kind of fun to knock, your opponent's ball out of the way when you run through, or to run into them and figure out that dynamic. I actually don't mind. I know I heard some people online complaining about having to run from hole to hole and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't care about that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to bother me. But I do.
It's fun to knock people out of the way too.
Yes,
yeah.
Totally. But battle golf kind of plays like how I thought speed golf would, and that it's really just the first to get to 3 flags. And so I'm like, I don't know if battle golf is speed golf then, but with a lot of mayhem going on. And speed golf is go fast, but also get good shots,
Right. I think it's problematic that speed golf gives you a 30-second penalty for every stroke over par. You know what I mean? Or actually, I think it is just 30
it's just
seconds.
Every single stroke.
30 seconds per stroke. And so I think that's a problem. I think that's too high, that number.
Yeah, I did fail on hole 15 one time because of that.
Yeah.
When I had the putt, but I only had 28 seconds left. And it was very frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's I think that's a problem. And there is a mode when you're playing online where you can play with points, which kind of simplifies it a little bit. And I think gives a little bit less weight to stroke in that term. But then also it takes away the nitty gritty of I beat this guy by 1 second. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah, it's locally too. I play this with my son a lot. And I think it's our preferred way to play, because he can beat me in it almost regularly because he's going fast. And I'm make sure that this putt lines up, you know what I mean? And then his speed, which I think would be fine, trumps my taking time. But it also, I feel like I have to take my time, and he's just putt,
right.
And it's a pretty forgiving game. Right. If I don't know. So it's actually kind of fun that he can beat me at it, but I'm also a little bit frustrated by that.
I echo all these sentiments, especially with what you're saying, Patrick. Is what does this game want to be? Especially speed golf. Does it want to be a PGA Tiger Woods type game, a simulator, or does it want to be an arcade game? And it's really hard to choose. As a gamer who just wants to go fast, I'm gonna play Magnus. I'm gonna play I'm gonna hit the ball as hard as I can, get as close as I can, and go run real fast. But you want to take it real slow and be a more methodical golf player. And I think that might be a poor game choice or game design. Like, maybe it gives you options to different players can play how they want to play. But
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you're getting beat, even though the game tells you to play in a certain way.
Right. Because, it's like you're talking about, David, you get 1 point. It doesn't feel weighted right. Like it feels like so even if I feel like, we got to a point where I was like, I have to win the next 3 holes to come back. And that's probably unlikely. You know what I mean? And that doesn't feel fun, but it feels like
that's golf for you though. I mean,
yeah, but but in an arcade or video game, I want to feel like I have a chance, right? Like,
right.
and maybe if I could just wallop him on one level, that would give me more than 1 point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I sometimes do because he'll like on some of the really hard challenges, like he won't be able to do it. Like where you do have to like lob a ball up or like, he'll fall off on a bridge or something and he's just out for that hole, but I only get 1 point, even though he had like a +10 or whatever,
Right.
Yeah. I wonder like if it might be kind of interesting if they like put some like floating rings in the air and you could aim to shoot through one of them and then you get an extra 15 seconds or something that like would be something that could maybe help you close the gap if you're feeling like behind and like you couldn't come back like you were, Patrick.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I agree with what you're saying though about battle golf too, where that feels like the true speed golf.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, and the problem with battle golf, I think battle golf is the most fun mode, to be honest. But the problem is that the matches are over in like 3 minutes. Like that basically battle golf, the areas in battle golf need to be twice as big, I think, with twice as many holes required to win. Right.
Yes.
Because the most fun I've had online so far is like 4 people all trying to putt into the same fucking hole on battle golf. Right.
Yeah.
And then one person finally gets it. Everybody's like, fuck. And they all have to like immediately then like go off to all these different holes. Right. Or like, and that shit's like super fun. But it's like as soon as you get 3, it's just over. Right. And there's no like rounds or anything like that. I wish it was like round 1 is this. You got this many points, right? Like, and so I just think like battle golf is the most fun mode. It's just the most half-baked. Like it's like they had a concept for it and then they were like, great. And then they just walked away and like started working on other shit in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And battle golf also, it's only that one stadium you can play in, right?
Yes.
That's like, and I played a little bit of it and it was really fun, but it was like, I don't want to play in this one stadium every time. Like I think they need way more.
There's 2 variants of it,
right?
And 4 variations, sort of. But like I played a lot of it with my son. Also, complaint about the game on the whole, like local co-op, because my wife has actually gotten interested in this game too, and all 3 of us have played it. A lot of the modes you can't play more than 2 people locally. I understand why, because there's the, your gauge over here and your clubs over there. But I still think on a big TV, split 4 ways, we could get by. And if I would rather have that option and then feel like, oh, it's not as much fun. But so we'll play battle golf with like 2 of us and 2 computers a lot. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not, it doesn't.
You could play, you could have a third person on your Switch Lite.
Yeah, that's true. I'd have to have another copy of it though, I think.
I don't think so.
But
the way that like buying games works,
playing online, I think I don't know. Maybe, but
I think you'd have to make the Switch Lite the like primary console or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I've been resistant to do that.
But yeah.
So anyway, for people that don't have that option too, it just feels dumb. The only way you can play 4-player or 3 or 4-player is regular golf, where everybody takes their own turn. And that's fine because I actually like that mode, but it does feel like it would be fun and frantic to play 4-player speed golf or battle golf locally. But yeah, to your point, Ryan, that the one map gets a little bit boring, and it's also just a bland map. It's all blue and it's weird looking, and I don't know. I kind of like the mayhem when you have the rush mode on, but I also kind of get tired of it. So it's nice that they have that option. But I do think there needs to be more maps.
Yeah, they showed in the E3 Direct, they showed like a New Donk City course, right? And that was a battle course, right?
Was it? I don't know. I'm not.
Was that a battle course?
I'm not sure if that's clear. It might be.
It looked like one, but I'm not sure.
Just because of the nature of it, it seems like it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things we've talked about that we want. One of them also has got to be courses, right? Like there's only 6 courses and it's not terrible, but once you've played them all, it does kind of make you wish there were a few more.
See, I hope New Donk City is a regular course.
Yeah, me
you know
too.
what I mean? Because I could use some variety there, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Also, if you've played on all of the courses so far, I don't think I've played a full 18 on all of them, but I've noticed that some of the holes are basically copy and pastes of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a few that show up in like 3 different of the biomes, and there's a few things tweaked, but like the entire layout of the hole is the exact same.
Yeah, the beginner one, and then the one that's right after it. I can't think of the name of it.
Doesn't matter.
Bonnie Grove or something.
Greens or something.
Yeah, like those two feel identical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope this isn't jumping too far ahead, but I think that's the one thing that I'm missing is like the environments. Like this golf tournament, is it taking place in the Mushroom Kingdom or is it in the real world? It feels more like the real world with Mario characters. Like I'm looking for like environments like similar to like Mario Kart, where they have this, you're in the Mushroom Kingdom or somewhere else, similar to that we saw in New Donk City. But I think like the map and battle mode is one where it does feel bland and it is like a generic map and it doesn't feel like quite the Nintendo world that I might expect.
Yeah, that's kind of like a constant thing in like at least the console Mario Golf games is the first course or two will be like a very generic, like you could find this in a PGA game course. And then as it goes on, they become more like Mario-fied, which also kind of happens in this game. But since there's only 6 courses, there's just not enough. Like you end up at Bowser's Castle and like a desert with pokies and stuff, but it's still like there's definitely not enough.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it's jumping ahead too much, but
that's fine.
But maybe we should talk a little bit about this idea of how this is like a $40 game with $20 DLC that we are all forced to buy.
Yeah, and we don't know we don't know what the DLC is going to be. Right. They haven't, or when it's coming. They haven't told us anything other than that New Donk City thing and saying new characters and courses. I think we can guess what the new characters are going to be because of the models we see in the game. And if you're playing those tournaments in adventure mode, they have like a number of players, including Wiggler, which I want to see Wiggler golf. But anyway, so I think we can kind of guess at some of the characters and we can assume there'll be more courses, but yeah, I hope they fix some of these modes and like give us that XC golf mode, give us more battle maps, but we don't know when or how many updates or anything really.
I think it's kind of an issue. I think that Nintendo has gotten a little bit too comfortable doing this, right? Like with Splatoon, it worked really well because there was like a fuck ton of content and there was a ton of maps and like, and they worked on it really well. And Splatoon Online is more of a dynamic game than Mario Golf is online, right? You can play with a bunch of randoms and shit like that, right? And for this though, it like the game really doesn't feel finished, and it feels like it just really feels like this should have been a $40 game with an optional $20 DLC pack or season pass or something like that, But instead, they're doing it to where it's like you're going to pay $60 now and then you'll get it eventually later. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about that. And I was hearing this stuff online. I was like, man, people love to complain. But now that I've played the game, I get it. Like it definitely feels like they were like, get it out now, finish it later, which
totally
kind of
does feel
is an issue. Yeah.
Because
the story will be done by that point too. Like, am I going to want to go back?
Right. It's the same problem that Mario Tennis Aces had. It's the same developer, same issues. Like, didn't feel finished. You know what I mean? It felt like it needed more content, got more content, new characters over time. But then like, I didn't even play with several of the last ones. I never went back to it. And like, is the community going to drop off before all these updates roll out? We don't know, because we don't know when the updates are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while we're talking about the updates, is there anything else you want to see that we haven't already talked about? One thing I want to see, and we haven't talked about motion controls yet, probably because y'all haven't played with them, but I have.
I haven't.
Yeah. My wife is interested in it, and I wanted to try it out because I figured y'all wouldn't. They're actually pretty fun. And in Mario Tennis Aces, they had a really cool, not at launch, but later patched in this co-op motion control mode. And I really hope they do the same thing. It would work even better in this.
When you say co-op motion control, you just mean 2 people playing with motion controls?
4 people. You could play it online or locally, and 4 people, or like in a row at the bottom of the screen in Mario Tennis Aces, and like, you know, getting balls served to them, and you're trying to like use motion controls to knock Shy Guys off a train. There were a couple of different ones, or what have you, and it was a lot of fun. And my wife and I played through it a lot because, you know, she's not much of a gamer, but that motion controls usually brings her in, and that mode really worked well. And I even played it with some other people who liked it too. So I hope they do stuff like that. It would be good use of the motion controls and give us more modes. It just feels like that probably, I'd say there's a good chance they're going to do that based on, it just feels like the exact same thing as Tennis Aces. I don't know if y'all feel the same way.
Yeah.
I did really like the motion controls in Tennis Aces. I thought they were really robust.
Yeah. I've only done it a little bit, but you know, I wouldn't replace it for button controls, but I think it's a great breakout when there's some people over. But again, you're limited to regular golf, and it would be kind of fun if there was other modes for motion controls.
I think some more single player content outside of the adventure mode would be would help a lot. Like if there's just some small, like you could play like 10 minutes of quick challenges, you know, like here's some birdie putts you can just do one after another, or you know, here's try to shoot through these rings. Like that Toadstool Tour had stuff like that, and it was actually pretty fun if you didn't just want to sit down and play a whole 9 or 18 holes. You just work towards some other just side content. And there is a little bit of like single player challenges, but it definitely feels like they just threw it in. Like,
it's like a high score mode kind of.
And then in those single player challenges, can you revisit those or like replay those? Like, like in an easier way? Like, can you do it from the main menu, or do you have to go into the adventure mode, take your character to that location, and then play it?
There's no way.
Yeah, there is like a little in the main menu. There's a little area for like single player challenges. Like you don't have to go through adventure mode, but it's only like 2 things.
I see.
And they're pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
Man, we're just dragging this game on this episode, man.
Yeah, I have to be clear. Like I am enjoying it.
No, I know I am too, which is why it's like weird that we're being so negative, but it like does have problems. Like I get the 6 out of 10 IGN review, you know, like this is, it could be such a better game. Yeah.
Totally. That's what's frustrating about it. To me, it's just Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah.
It's exact same situation. Like really fun, you know, mechanics. They got the gameplay down. They just didn't package it right. And they're giving us these vague updates which we, especially in this case, I feel like with Tennis Aces, they at least said there's going to be one new character every month, and the's going to be a tournament. They haven't mentioned anything like that. This game should have
there's
online
no tournaments in this game. Yeah.
Because that would help, I think. It's a great game, but it does feel limited, and this whole vague update thing is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this just needed more time in the oven, or it might, dare I say, maybe it's time for Camelot to not do these anymore. Are they getting tired, do you think? or like
Golden Sun.
Yeah, maybe they should take a couple years off of the sports games, right? And just work on something of their own, get reinvigorated, right? But because we've seen like a lot of other people do this stuff better, you know, like Golf Story, for instance. Like Golf Story is like a robust game, right? With really fun golf mechanics. Now it's not super simulation like it is here, but it's like, you know, that still is a pretty deep game, and that game is fun to play multiplayer too, you know? And so it's like, I think it might be time to start either bringing back some of the other Mario sports games, you know, like you know, Strikers or Sluggers or whatever, or you know, maybe pass off some of these games to some people that you know could do it. I mean, Next Level could pick up some of these games and do a really good job with them, you know. And I don't want to sour it too much because it is a fun game. It's just like the heart is not there, you know. It seems like.
I think that's the thing. It's missing the personality, that Nintendo charm. Like it's there. It's just like a little taste of it, but it's not like quite fleshed out. And I think it's the expectation of like Nintendo gamers playing this type of game with the Nintendo brand. Yep. I think it would be an entirely different review or different conversation if this was a Camelot game with no Nintendo characters. It was just a generic golf game.
Right.
And to that point too, I think the aesthetics, the music, the graphics, all that are the same thing, right? It's like missing that heart. It's same with Tennis Aces. Like to me, the models don't blink, and that bothers me. Like to sit there and see just this dead-eyed. Yeah, they don't. It's just like dead-eyed, Mario just fucking staring at me. And that was true. It's a little bit better than Tennis Aces because the models in Tennis Aces freak me out even more because they're even less. They move even less, and they don't blink.
I did not pick up on this, Patrick. It's really funny you picked up on that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you're playing tennis with them and you're moving them around a lot. That not everybody talked about this. I'm surprised more people don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the animation.
I will now. Now it's all I'm going to be able to notice.
Sorry. But it's like, it's not just that. It's like the game looks okay, but it's like the music is okay. And as Jay pointed out in our Discord, the sound design of like the Hammer Bros going, yo ho, over and over is.
Or the toad going, because every time you press, because I'm skipping through the dialogue, right? Because I don't give a shit. So it's just like,
yeah. Also, in the courses, a lot of them, when you see like the aerial overheads, you're like, man, these look really nice. But some of them, especially like the Bowser's Castle one, really stood out to me. When you see the textures up close, they're looking kind of rough.
Yeah. What is that stuff? Like, what am I golfing on? Like, it's not grass. It's metal, I guess, but it's grass texture-y. It's weird. I agree.
Yeah.
Bowser's Kingdom, or whatever it's called, that course does look odd.
And it should be the course that like stands out the most. Like, it should be like the best course of the game, in my opinion. Like, it should be the coolest one, but
because it's the only one that's like Nintendo themed and not just the worlds we live in.
Yeah, but as you're playing it, it's just like disappointing.
Yeah, like you think about like Mario Kart, like how much time they spent on all those backgrounds and like the Bowser's, where like lava rocks are falling near you and stuff. Like that kind of stuff could be happening. Instead, it's just weird metal grates.
Yeah.
We are really sour on this game.
Yeah. Well, here's maybe something. Here's what we should ask. I guess because we all bought this game, right? Like we all paid $60.
I paid 100% full price for this game.
Yeah, same. I think the question is not, are you having fun with it, but do you feel like you wasted your money?
No,
because that's what I was concerned about. Like, I was actually holding off on pre-orders. Everybody in our Discord was like, "I'm pre-ordering the game," and I was like, "I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this."
That's how we said it. Exactly how we said
it. Yeah. But I mean, do you guys feel like you wasted your money?
No. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's taken over my house. My son has been like playing it, and to that point of it does feel like it's missing stuff. Like he was super excited because he unlocked one of the courses without me. It's like I unlocked the next course and came and tell me that. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Well, we're done with that now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but maybe the updates will fill in some of that. But yeah, no, I don't feel like I wasted my money. It's fun.
I think I'll be able to answer that question more fully after a couple weeks. I want to play multiplayer. I've only played a little bit of multiplayer, but I think where this game really shines is all of the extra modes, multiplayer with your friends. It's fun, arcadey, and that's what I think I'm going to wait a couple weeks before.
Yeah, I played some online with like DCD and Kyle and Jay, and we had a really good time. You were in some of that, right, Matt? And then you dropped out, right?
No,
no, maybe
I
not.
played different game.
Yeah. We played Tony Hawk. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, no, I don't necessarily feel like I wasted my money. I'm certainly, and like I said, even though the adventure mode has issues, like it's kind of captivating me. Like I found that I would want to play for like 10, 20 minutes, and then I was like, oh shit, I've been playing for like 3 hours, and I didn't really realize it. So like something is happening and something is working, right? I just really hope that this isn't Stockholm syndrome, you know what I mean? And like we're not getting fucking gaslit by Nintendo being like, you're gonna get all this content, and then they're like, nah, we're good.
Here's New Donk City, and Toadette.
Right. I just yeah, exactly. I need a standing wiggler holding a club.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, despite the roster not being huge or anything, I think the characters that they chose were really cool
Yeah.
for a starting roster. Having King Bob-omb there and Charging Chuck
Yeah.
and Pauline. It's like not only the usual suspects, and it's not Tin Babies and all the Koopalings either, and
Yeah.
Metal Mario.
I'm definitely a Charging Chuck stan. Yeah.
Also, I don't know about y'all, but I'm mostly playing with my Mii.
I love playing as my Mii.
Which I don't know. I'm kind of weird about this now because like my son and I, because they have 3 save slots, great for my family. We've each made a adventure mode character so that we can now play as our Miis, and that's mostly what we do. And I've been playing a lot of this with my son today, especially and we're just going head to head as our Miis. And
there's a point where you level up your Mii so much that he's the most powerful character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my Mii at this point is pretty much the best character in the game.
And if you play a bunch of adventure mode, you know how to control your Mii, and you switch to like Charging Chuck and he drives long but doesn't putt well or whatever, then you're like, I don't know.
Nintendo, you've made an online Mii golf basically because everyone's just going to play as their Mii because it's the best character. Right. Yeah. And maybe not Ryan, but like just make Mii sports, man. Come on. Like we can retire the Mario stuff for a little bit. Let's just bring back the Miis, man. Like this is all people want. They just want to play golf with their friends online as themselves.
I do think what if this was rebranded as like a Mii game? It could even have the Mushroom Kingdom characters as like, you talk to them along the way. It kind of feels like that's a missed opportunity almost, like to not have the adventure mode be more robust and you play as your Mii mostly or exclusively or whatever. I don't know.
I think when Nintendo killed Mario, they should have killed all the Mario characters. They should have killed them all, just replaced them all with us, our Miis. I don't mean that.
Yeah, well, we've talked about most of the stuff in the game. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that y'all want to make sure to squeeze in before we wrap this up?
So my final thoughts are: this is just an example for me personally. Like this isn't a game for me. Maybe I'll spend more time on multiplayer, but just spending the limited amount of time in the adventure mode, it's just identified. It's not for me. It's like I don't play Call of Duty. It's not my type of game. I don't play Rainbow Six Siege. Not my type of game. And I think Mario Golf might. It's not
just like those games.
Just like them. Yeah.
I'm just saying those are other popular games that people are like really hyped about and get excited about. But there's like it doesn't match my flavor palette. I have a very sophisticated video game palette. Can't you tell?
I think especially the older you get as a gamer, that's really good to know and to know yourself and to know what experiences you like. And it doesn't mean you have to hate other people for liking them. In fact, don't, you know what I mean? Like, but know what you like. And
as a gamer, it's your responsibility to go out to Walden Pond with your Switch and one game of every genre and then come back knowing what kind of gamer you are.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Then we talked about Mario Golf Super Rush. I don't know if we convinced anybody to buy this game.
It's complicated.
But maybe, I don't know.
When I was hanging out with Lee said, I feel like I bought this game because everyone else was buying this game.
Well, that's
what I was trying to be like. Don't pre-order it, guys. Like, wait. The review embargo came out like the day before the game came out. Like, you want to wait on that stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think what this does, make me want to have a deeper conversation about this update model.
We should
as well.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that for another time. Let us know what you think about Mario Golf Super Rush and maybe this whole update issue as well. Send us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you, listener. And then we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the other games that we've been playing recently. This week, I have been playing... I've talked about this before, but this is the game I'll talk about. I've been playing Ori and the Blind Forest. I thought I would have beaten it by now. I got to a really tough point near the end that I had to kind of just sit down last night, even though I was like, I'm going to beat it right now. Mm-hmm. That game is a lot. I'm talking about mixed feelings with games. I have some serious mixed feelings about Ori and the Blind Forest. I really like it, but I also get really frustrated with it. There's some really tough platforming segments where you can't save and the save function is a little bit funky, and like I think this is, I guess, a spoiler a little bit, but there on each sort of area, there's a chase segment, and I'm on what I presume is maybe the last chase segment, because of how many power-ups I have and all that. And man, I don't know how many times I did it last night without doing it. It's got a little bit of that Celeste feel where there's a nice instant respawn, but like I have to push through and then learn a new area and die there. And then, okay, now go back through all these tough ones that I know, but occasionally I just die in them.
That was my problem with the game too. That shit frustrated me beyond
Yes.
Yeah.
any amount that it was supposed to. Yeah.
I get what they were trying to do, because it's like there's not traditional boss fights, so it's kind of like a gauntlet obstacle course boss fight. But yeah, I don't think it worked all that great.
Yeah,
I think they made all that better in Will o' the Wisps.
I think they're less and shorter in Will o' the Wisp.
Yeah,
that makes sense because everybody says it's better, and I'm like, before I started playing it, I was like, what is bad about it? But now I see it. It can be frustrating in a like, this is a fun challenge, but it's not fun to have to fight my way through these 10 areas to get to the part where I don't know what to do yet. You know what I mean? Like, and then I think do it again.
The main issue with Ori and the Blind Forest is that the difficulty was balanced super weird. Like there'd be long stretches where it was like pretty easy and you knew where it was going. And then all of a sudden the game would just get really hard and you just would like hit a wall. And then you'd finally get past it. And then like all the next shit you would do would be incredibly easy. Yeah. And so it was like, I just felt like the balance wasn't quite there. And and that's and it was, it's their, it was the first game in a franchise and they were figuring all that stuff out.
Yeah. And the combat isn't great either, but they also fixed that in the sequel.
Oh, that's good to hear. So I'm near the end, so I have like almost all the power-ups, and also this last chase, you have to use them all, and so that's where sometimes your brain breaks a little bit because you're going fast, and you're like, wait, is that left trigger, right trigger, plus B or whatever, and I really like moving as Ori and all the different unique power-ups and stuff, but in that super fast-paced mode, it can get a little bit frustrating.
Where are you playing it? What platform?
Oh, I'm playing it on the Switch. Cool. And I think I mentioned this when I first brought this up. I tried playing it docked, but I found the text really hard to read. And now there's actually not that much text. But I also find the field of view in the game is a little bit odd. Like you're really small. You know what I mean? And so I've been switched to playing it just in handheld.
We're just shitting on great games tonight.
I realized
it's
my
really
question
good.
To you. My question was like, where'd you play? I was like, tell me, do you play on the shitter? Do you play in your bed?
In bed, mostly. No, I've been playing it on the handheld, on the Switch Lite, actually.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I feel you, because I actually played it. I had it on Switch, played it on my TV, got stuck. And then I just ended up playing it on Game Pass on like my monitor because I'm so much closer to it.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I could actually see everything better and actually finished it.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that. All right, but we talked about that a lot. So, Matthew,
yeah, I'll go next. Playing Mario Golf, obviously. Picked up Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. That's been so fun. David, you and I played it with Jay. It's just like riding a bike, man. The song
totally.
Hits, Psycho Vision starts playing. You hit that manual. My God, it's a great port.
It's wild how easy it is to pick up that game after like 20 years of not having played it. You know what I mean? And you're just muscle memory immediately kicks in. And you just like remember where a lot of the shit is in the levels too. Yeah, that's great. Those are the two games you've been playing this week?
I've been playing those two, and then I started playing Samus Returns. So I'm continuing my Metroid playthrough before Dread comes out. So I've been playing Samus Returns and really like it. It's quite the shift. I don't know if I like the 3D model Samus over the like pixel art Samus.
It's rough going to this game on 3DS and looking at it on there. Both after playing a bunch of Switch games and then going to a 240p screen of the 3DS, but then also like having just played like Metroid Zero Mission on like a really nice IPS display where the pixel art was like super crisp and beautiful. And then you go to this game and it's kind of just like not that great looking 3D graphics. It's a little rougher than I thought. Yeah. That's so funny, Matt. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
no, so far so good. I'm liking it. It's quite it's It's a huge difference between like Zero Mission and Samus Returns. Just like the mechanics and the movement, but also the level design. It's more linear than I expected.
Mhm.
And as I tried to like explore, I realized I was cut off by different parts of the world. There were like crystals or like the spikes would cut you off from when I'm trying to like find stuff or like find secrets. But
Yeah.
it's way more linear.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
for better or
man,
for worse.
should we have just gone to another Metroid 2 remake? You know what I mean? Like maybe Jordan had the right idea there, but anyway,
The jury's out on that. Most people say you should play both.
yeah. Why not all three?
Fuck it. Just go.
The original
Let's play
Game Boy one, too.
Yeah.
That's like literally what Metroid fans will be like. Metroid fans are like, just play all three, dude. Come on, what? You've got the fucking time. It's like, no. Like, I'm not gonna play the same game 3 times. But anyway, yeah, it's funny, Matt. Usually you're like, oh yeah, I've been playing Apex Legends or like Mad Max or something. But like we're playing a lot of the same games, which is nice.
What do you got against the games I play?
No, nothing.
Just kidding.
But just to extract, we've talked a lot about Mario Golf. Have been having fun with that, but with Tony Hawk, man, like Tony Hawk, I feel like is a must buy in my opinion. I mean, I loved those games growing up, so I'm definitely biased. I've got nostalgia there, but it's also like you want Tetris on every machine you have. You know what I mean? You want like a version of Tetris on pretty much everything you have. You want like like a good like 2D Mario game on like pretty much everything that you have. Like I feel like Tony Hawk is a game that I will never delete from my Switch. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of always want to have games that you can just flip on, quickly play, sink a little bit of time into when you have some downtime, right? Like Tony Hawk is perfect for that, man. And it's like it's just so well done. It's $40, like and it's so dense with content and packed with all the shit from the first 2 games and a lot more. And then it's also got online multiplayer and stuff like that, which is really fun. It's got random lobbies you can join. You can do stuff with your friends. It's just like a really, really great value. Like I just can't, like, I'm so glad that it's finally out for the Switch. I was really looking forward to this for a long time. And I imagine I'll be playing this off and on for, the next few months at least. I just love hopping in and playing games. So that's definitely something I've been having a lot of fun playing. And then lastly, I did also finally get past the first tutorial in Game Builder Garage, which full disclosure, I did not buy this game. This is Patrick's copy of the game that I'm playing because I was like, I don't know if I want to buy this. I don't know how much I want to play game. I don't know how much I want to make games. I just want to like download wacky games from other people, right? So I've been playing on Patrick's copy. You do have to beat the first tutorial and like make your first game or whatever before you can start to download games. And I have, and I'm loving it. I'll like go online for like hours and just like look for like random games. And it's like kind of addicting to, like find something and it's really fun. And then you beat it and you're like, ooh, I want to find the next game. There's lots of really interesting shit coming out as well. You got to know like the right places to look, but going on YouTube and like, finding compilation videos of cool games and then looking up the creators and seeing if they've made anything else is really fun. So I'm really enjoying that. Maybe I'll keep doing the tutorials and keep making games. Can't really say at this point, but right now I definitely will keep downloading creations from other people because that's a lot of fun. Ryan, what about you? What have you been playing this past week, man?
So I've been going through on my PS5 playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I actually got that game when it came out like 3 years ago or whenever it was, and had never played like a Soulsborne or FromSoft game before, and it just I did not make it very far. But last year I played Dark Souls Remastered for the first time, and then I played Dark Souls 3, and then I played Bloodborne. So now I've just been trying to make my way through all of those games. And
nice, you got the bug.
Yeah, I got the bug. I was always super intimidated by them, but now I just can't get enough of them. And
how are you?
I really like it
to the parry system in Sekiro.
It took me a little bit to get used to it, but now it's a little more second nature. Like I definitely struggled a lot more in like the earlier areas, and then there was a time where I was kind of just like making really good fast progress, and now I think I'm getting close to the end of the game and it's getting pretty hard again. But it's definitely different. Like having to like remove the dodge roll part of your brain and replace it with parrying every time. It's an adjustment, but it's a fantastic game. I'd recommend it much. If you're not into Souls games, if you can manage to get a hang of the mechanics. It's like the world is incredible, the graphics are amazing, the music is good. It's just can't recommend it enough.
Nice.
But also, I'm also about to embark on my 2D Metroid retrospective. And I just got this little Retroid for the video listeners. It finally came in. It took a little over a month, like a month and a half to ship, which is a little too long, but I'm pretty excited.
How big's that screen? It's like a 4-inch screen. Is it like 5?
3.5, I think.
I'd say probably about like 4.
Yeah,
3.
That looks
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. I have the RG350M by Ambernick, which is like the other good handheld Chinese device, and I really like that. But I'm very interested about that because that one runs Android, right?
Yeah, it does run Android. It comes preloaded with all sorts of emulators for different consoles.
Yeah.
Also has Steam Link on it. Which I haven't even really started fiddling around with it yet because I had such a crazy week last week. But I'm excited to start downloading and trying things out on it.
Hell yeah, man.
Nice. All right. Well, then I think that just about does it for this week's episode. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us to talk about Mario Golf.
Of course. Thanks.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am PDYX.
Hey, I'm Matthew on Twitter, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Ryan? Where can people find you online?
You can find me. My handle on Twitter is Ozuberg, OZUBERG. And I also stream on Twitch under that name as well sometimes.
That's right. Yeah, catch this guy's streams. They're a lot of fun. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter. We are at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you can always join our Facebook group that we have, which is a great community. And then also we've got a Discord server as well, both of which will be in the description of this video or podcast. I implore you to join if you're listening. It's a lot of fun to do that. So do it. I'm getting worse at these outros. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our episode on Mario Golf Super Rush. We didn't hate it, even though it sounded like we did. There's just a lot to pick apart in this game.
We got through that episode.
I think what Ryan and Patrick were saying during the break that, like, you know, they both came into this episode expecting to like praise it, and then it got really negative really fast. But it's like there's good stuff in there for sure. I mean, we're having fun with the game. You know, we just have we got a very specific thing we're looking for.
With high expectations for Papa Nintendo.
Exactly. Come on, Papa. Hey, Nintendo. I'm gonna say this again. Maybe let maybe let Camelot make Golden Sun for a little bit. maybe find some other people to work on these games. We'll see what happens. Anyway, other than that, we're gonna be back next week. We got a great episode for you. Can't wait to tell you all about that. But I'm not telling telling you now. We're gonna go. Bye. Wait, hold on. We love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.